Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Real Franchise, a video series designed to deliver real information, real answers and real insights into franchising. The series is brought to you by James Home Services Australia. I'm the CEO and today we have a new face joining us. New but sort of not new. Over the next half an hour we are going to chat to Greg, who's one of our current business coaches. If you've been around the traps for a little while, this is not actually the first time that Greg has appeared on our Real Franchise series. But for the astute amongst you, you may notice this changed title. When we first chatted to Greg, and at the time his wife, Gina, it was because they were business owners in our network and we were talking to them about their experience as business owners. Today, Greg is one of our business coaches working with the head office team to support our business owners, and today we're going to have a conversation all about his current role. Greg, welcome to The Real Franchise for the second time. As I've just indicated, you're not new to James Home Services. You're new to the head office team, but not to the network. So can you take us back 5-6 years ago and tell us how it all started for you and Gina?
Absolutely, Rhiannon. So back in 2019, I took a leap of faith to leave a long-term role to do something for ourselves. We bought a franchise, an interior clean franchise, and managed to, make a great life out of what we were trying to do around our work-life balances and not needing to commute, those sort of things. We built a really solid business in that time. I get myself back to working like 3.5 days a week. And the joys of not having to leave at 6 a.m. and getting home at 7:30 at night, because I would leave from my front door to start work, not to get to work. So we did that for 6 years, decided that we were just looking for something different to do. We're getting a little bit older, looking to sort of semi-retire, relocate and put our business on the market. We're fortunate in that we had a buyer very quickly establish themselves. It took about 6 months to transition, but that was great. As that was happening, Rhiannon reached out to ask whether I might be interested in a business coaching role, as one of the other business coaches had indicated they were about to move on. It was something we had talked about over the last sort of 2 years, potentially, of it happening. Took the opportunity straight away. No downtime, literally walked straight from running a business to becoming a business coach and relearning all the little things that I'd let slip in 6 years of running a business.
Yes, and I'm going to come back to those. I do want to ask you later on in the conversation, how's that transition from business owner to business coach been? But I want to go back to the beginning again. I've got a very specific question. Your background was a corporate one. You could have run your own business with your eyes closed and your hands tied behind your back. Why did you choose a franchise network to jump into business ownership? What was it about what was it about the offer of a franchise that made you choose that instead of going it alone?
Total lack of experience. I had never actually run a business for myself. I'd never worked for myself, which is a skill set unto itself. And there are 1,000 things going to running business that you really are not aware of until you start the process. And so a franchise environment allowed me to leverage the running of the setup and the running of the business effectively without needing to learn all the hardest ways to get things done.
Yeah, we often talk about the time saving that starting with a franchise network can afford you, and we call it the time spent figuring it all out. And if you're going it alone, there are so many things that you've just got to figure out. And starting with a franchise network can be a bit of a shortcut because we've figured all of these things out, literally hundreds of times before. And so we are a well-oiled machine when it comes to knowing what we need to guide our new businesses on. So fast forwarding to today, or maybe to a few months ago when we were actively transitioning you into the role of business coach, how did you feel? What was that transition like going from business owner to business coach? Were there any major surprises for you in making that transition?
Probably not a surprise, but the realization, which I knew, but you don't realize how much things change in the background just from the requirements, or the way the business now approaches its business coaching scenarios. So all the things that were ingrained in me over 6 years of working in this exact franchise environment had been tweaked, had been refined, and I probably really wasn't tweaking and refining my own processes to meet those. So things changed. There was new management software came in amongst it all. I already had processes in place. I needed to go and relearn those to do it what we now term almost the James way.
Yeah.
So that we're giving our new franchisees the best opportunity to get up and running as quick as possible.
Yeah. Yep. I think I recall saying to you early in our conversations around, hey, there's an opportunity here for a business coach. Are you interested? I think I remember saying to you, if you want to take this on, no disrespect intended by this, but I'm going to assume that you're new to the network entirely, and we're going to take you right back to the beginning and take you through pretty much all of the training, because so much has changed in the last 5 years, particularly, that I didn't want to assume and throw you into the deep end of being a business coach without making sure that all those little changes along the way you were brought up to speed on entirely. And, I think your comment around you hadn't sort of made the tweaks as you go, for anybody listening, really what you're talking about there is that you had a really well-established business that was running successfully. And so you had determined your own methodologies for doing things that were working for you. And yes, we have a very specific process that we take people through. We have a specific way that we coach and a specific system that we have you follow, but that's also very intentionally designed for those new business owners to get the business started. And there is always leeway for somebody more established like yourself to, change it up just slightly and make it work for you in the longer run.
Yeah, exactly that. And the core of what I've had to relearn was simple because it's what ran our business.
Yep.
The 8 steps, our training program, very little in that was new to me. 95% of it I was ingrained in our business to do every single day. That's the 5% of stuff that had either been refined or we'd gotten to points in our business journey where step 17 wasn't required.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We were where we wanted to be. We weren't trying to continue the push to grow rapidly. Just decisions we made as a business that meant that some of the steps in the process weren't as
it just became not as relevant to you. You're in a different state.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
So you operated.
So to go back now and actually have to, as a business coach, train and assist people in the start of their journey where all these steps are so important was a bit of a, not an eye-opener, a bit of a, well, yeah, that's right. We should be doing that, shouldn't we?
It's like riding a bike though, right?
Absolutely.
Once you learn, you never unlearn, and you just sort of start taking it for granted though. And if you haven't done it for a little while, getting back on it, it takes a little minute to come back, but it definitely does.
Yeah.
So you operated a business for 5 years. And then you were very open at all times with Justin and myself about being interested in taking on a business coaching role in the future if one ever arose. Why were you interested in a role?
So running your own business is very intensive. Don't ever disregard that fact. I'm getting older, but I'm not ready to retire. Was at a point, we made a decision in the last couple of years ago where it's like, let's not pull up the train at the drop of a hat and go, yeah, that's it. Because we want to continue to live. We want to do a bit of travel. We have things that we want to do from a personal perspective. And the opportunity as a business coach with the ability to do this role and support people remotely at the hours that fit into their schedule as well as ours, which if your business is up and running successfully isn't 9 to 5.
Yeah, nice.
When you're looking for assistance. All those things sort of fit into where we would like to go. And the knowledge that I have gained over the process of working for James is something I'm proud of and would love to be able to help make it a little bit easier for other people. So, yeah, those conversations did go on for probably 18 months before we sold the business.
Yeah. It's really important to us the more that we develop and mature. It's become very core to us, actually, both Justin and I, that as much as possible, we try and grow our business coaching cohort from past and present business owners. There's just no substitute for having done it. And no doubt you'll agree that, when somebody, and a lot of people listening to the Real Franchise series are listening because they're considering starting a business and they're considering franchise networks. Ours all maybe most definitely doing their research and comparing all of their options, which is what we encourage. How do you think having done it for 5 years has helped you to be able to step into this role of business coach and help others? Do you think that it's going to make you a much better business coach?
I think it's going to make me a good business coach for the James network, but also in general. A franchise is very structured in some ways that allow people to get an easier start into running a business environment. But nothing is ever static in this world. Things change. You will always run into new scenarios that need a little bit of left field thinking sometimes to make both parties or all the parties happy that you can accommodate change. And every single franchise in this network will be doing that on a daily basis as they get slightly out of the ordinary requests in regards to the services or things to be made, business decisions to be made, employment opportunities for employing staff coming from different avenues and venues. There's just so many little things that you sort of put in your back pocket as learning processes that hopefully some of those, when other people in the network run into them, I might have an answer or a solution or an observation that might help them make a decision that works for them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in having done it and the experience that comes with that, because, you know, when somebody's having a really tough day, you know, those first 12 weeks are really critical. In our network, we really coach to that first 12 weeks being, that is the period of our accelerated startup program. And our goal in that period is that new business owners all reach their own personalized break-even point that we help calculate with them. That's the goal for that period. But you know, there are some real highs in those first 12 weeks. You know, when you're hitting goals and you're getting calls and you've won your first quote or you get your first 5-star Google review, there are some real highs, but there are inevitably going to be some low days as well. And I think that, you know, I think it's important that we don't glorify business ownership as something that's really simple and easy to do, because it's not. It can be a real slog. You know, there are some great rewards on the other side of business ownership, but it takes sometimes a bit of pain and a bit of resilience to get there. And I think that the power of having business coaches in our network who have been there, done that, bought the T-shirt is that, you know, you can celebrate the highs, but you can also wrap your arm around their shoulder on the low days and say, mate, I've been where you are. It doesn't feel good, but tomorrow we're going to get up and this is what we're going to do. So I think there's an awful lot of power to that. Do you think that too?
Oh, absolutely. My business coach, helped step us through the our realigning of our goal setting all the time through our 5-year process. And but also when we dropped a couple of clients early in the piece that hurt from a bottom line, from a pride perspective, all sorts of things. And just to have someone to listen to your downtime and to G up and keep you going. And the other thing I found that actually probably the best thing I ever got from my business coach was that when my wife and I, who were in a partnership, if we didn't totally agree on a decision, sometimes we needed a third party to listen to both sides and give advice, not give an answer, but give advice. Yeah.
I think that really sums up our whole approach to business coaching, doesn't it? It's not about giving someone all of the answers. It is, I mean, how would you sum our approach to business coaching? You're actually wonderfully positioned to kind of talk pretty objectively about what it is that we do from a strategy perspective and how it is that we help people, because you haven't been a business coach you've been now for sort of working alongside us now for 4 to 6 months.
Yep.
So, we've finished the transition in process now and you are well and truly up and away and off and running. How would you describe how we help people and the kind of support that we offer?
In the first instance, it really is trying to smooth out the bumps in the road, to try and guide people down best practices, from both the, from running the business, everything from admin to marketing to, doing the job. And that's all supportive. But we also, part of our job is to look at the data that's going through the system and to go, identify when things aren't quite going as, we would like to think that they could go for you. And sometimes that does involve a little bit of a harder conversation, I suppose, in regards to, hey, we're seeing these sort of results. Our assumptions are that these things are or are not happening. Talk to us. Let us know. Because if we let it just run its course, there's every chance things could go sideways really quickly. So it's support, it's assistance, it's guidance, but it's also to try and keep you on the rails in regards to keeping the business moving forward. And sometimes, there are some tough discussions that need to be had, but it's never done from a personal vindictive perspective. It's always done from we want to see your business succeed. We want you guys to be happy, and right at the moment it's tough, and or we don't think you're making the right decisions.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, business coaching is really tough actually, because I think a lot of people hear the word coach and just think it's all about the rah-rah support and the, being a loud cheerleader and pumping people up. And it's all of those things, right? But it's also being prepared to have a tough conversation if it's needed. And that can be really tricky. And it's something that all of our business coaches, from time to time, we have to go there and we have to do it. But you're absolutely right. It's never personal and it's never out of malice. And it's always rooted in data that, hey, we're looking at your numbers and things aren't going right here. But it's also rooted in, one of our core philosophies, which is if we just allow you to do things the way that feels comfortable to you all the time, that's not necessarily what's required to get you the outcomes that you really genuinely want to get in your business. And our focus is that, our main priority is that you're getting the outcomes you want. The only goal we have for our business owners is that they get to that break even in those first 12 weeks. Beyond that, we are working with you to help you get to your own goals. The beauty of a business coach is that sometimes you don't quite know what's holding you back from reaching those goals that you have for yourself. And we've done this so many times. We've seen what works in our system and what doesn't work. And we can bring all of that experience to each individual business in our network and say, right here is where we think it's not working for you. Let's see if we can change this up. So yeah, our approach to coaching is, it is the rah-rah support, absolutely. It is the shoulder around you on the hard days. But it's also, if there's a roadblock, we will identify it. We will absolutely roll up our sleeves to help you blow it up. But sometimes that conversation around identifying it and acknowledging that it's sitting there can be a little bit tough. Yeah.
And from my perspective, I had very little idea what was involved in this role in regards to helping steer the ship. Where some of these discussions were coming, being brought up with my business coach, and you just looked at it going, what are we talking about? Finish the conversation, oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah. And resetting of goals and stuff. But yeah, now sitting on the other side of the fence to really understand the logic behind why we do what we do. It's very eye-opening. It's very exciting. And you can never, I don't believe as a franchisee, you never really understand where some of this stuff comes from until you finish up and you're going, oh, well, in my case, having to go and reread the rule book.
Yep.
And go, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why we were getting that. That's why Stuart was bugging me.
Yeah. I think so much of it is that we're thinking bigger picture for you, for our business owners. And that is the very role of a business coach, right? If we were only there to, send you leads and help you with your marketing and help you with a bit of bookkeeping, well, there's not much value in that, right? You can go learn that stuff off of YouTube or ChatGPT these days, right? So I really see that the role of our business coaches is much elevated from the day-to-day operations of the business to, hey, this business is a vehicle and it can get you, business owner, anywhere you want to go. You tell me what direction we're pointing this vehicle in, and then my job as your coach is to help you get there as much as I possibly can. And so I think that maybe what some of our business owners don't necessarily realize at the time when they're in the weeds and they're doing it and they're at the coalface is we are your strategic direction. We are your guidance at that higher level. And we are the ones going, hey, you need to pull more out of this than just, a little bit of flexibility now and a decent kind of an income. We want to make sure this is getting you where you actually want to go in your life and beyond. So I think that's very much how we view the business coaching role. It's a much higher level strategic role than I think maybe people think.
And I know with that push from my business coach in regards to resetting goals, I would have, I know quite easily, but I would have got to a point where it was like, I don't know if I can get much more out of this.
Mm.
But having someone come along and go, well, where do you want to get to? Well, we need to get more out of it. Let's sit down and look at the ways that we can get more out of it, other than you just physically doing more work, which is what most of our business coaches don't want to do. Sorry, most of our franchisees, business owners don't want to do that. Yeah, certainly they want their business to be successful, but you don't want to be on the tools from break at dawn to. That's what we got out of this. Got out of that environment to run our own businesses.
Yeah,
and there's ways and means of making that happen.
Yeah,
sometimes you just need a bit of understanding to. If I do these things, I can back off a day or so.
Yeah, exactly. So you've now sort of started working with a couple of very new business owners, so new that they are not yet operating businesses in our network. But our process is that throughout an onboarding period, the business coach is highly involved, and we really do a lot to start to get the wheels of somebody's business moving very, very early. Can you talk just a little bit about what you've been doing in the very early onboarding stages with some of your brand new business owners?
Yeah, absolutely, because it is literally the last couple of days of what I've been doing with a couple of them, and it is everything from ensuring that they have ABN numbers, registering of business names, discussions around insurance, relevant insurances for the type of businesses they run, organising practical training, places, dates, times, sessions. It's just that the checklist is about 120 items, and we just work through them with you.
And that's that we do, by the way. For anybody listening, your checklist is not 120 items. That's 120 things we do for you to help get your business started. There is a little bit of a checklist for you guys as well, but part of Greg's role and any business coach in our network's role is to prompt you and guide you as to when you need to do the things on your side of the checklist. And otherwise, we're working our tushies off behind the scenes to try and help you get started. Greg, what's the goal of that? Because most franchise networks just kind of wait until you get people into training and then it kind of all happens just from that training day. We have such an emphasis on starting all of these kind of business setup admin tasks well before you even come to training with us. Why is our emphasis on getting you started so early?
Quite simply, we want you to start your business and literally start your business, not set up your business.
Yes.
On day one, we want you to be able to go out there and get a first job.
Yeah.
Your marketing will already be in process. We will have prompted you to be talking to friends and family and groups that community groups that you're part of. Just to let them know what you're doing. You'd be amazed how much support you get from people you already know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just so that that massive administrative burden of getting a business up and running, we want to try and have as much of that, if not all of that, done, dusted, settled, so that when we come to actually doing the business training and the practical training, your focus is on those things, not, oh, God, I still haven't got my insurance done yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that way the focus is truly on that fast start scenario where when you finish training, you're out the door and you're not hamstrung by still needing to get paperwork done.
Yeah, exactly. That's boring. We want to get all of that squared away well and truly before you start so that you can focus 110% of your efforts on actually getting work and then getting paid for it. And so much of that is just in acknowledgement of the practicality of this, which is that starting a business can be really scary, particularly if you've gone from a salaried position for, most of your employed life, which is, what most people come to us with a background of is, having been an employee. And it's really scary to go from just show up to work and they'll pay you, to actually now I'm wholly responsible for the income that I see in my bank account. So our fast start principle is just wholly in recognition of how fearful it can feel. And, our process that we put you through is to try and give you some comfort that we really are focused on making sure that you are earning an income in your business from as early as practically possible. We don't want to tie you up in the admin for forever. We want to get that squared away so that you can get to growing your business really quickly. Greg, before we wrap up, I've got one last big question for you. Over the last sort of 4 to 6 months that we've been transitioning you into this role, I think that, you've developed definitely an appreciation for the scope of this sort of role, the time it requires, and also the passion and the dedication that you need to have as a business coach in our network to be able to help our business owners. And there's a lot of energy that goes into being a business coach and being a successful one. Why? Why do you do this? Why do you want to spend your days helping other business owners in our network?
Realistically, I like to help people.
Yeah.
I have, it's not been a 30-year journey for me. It's been 5 years of running my own business. And even with all the support we had, it's still, there were things that you had to learn the hard way. Hey, step outside the scopes of the franchise. Don't go and quote over the phone. I did it once.
I think everybody does. Then they learn really quickly why we say, hey, don't quote over the phone.
And we bang on about it. Don't quote over the phone. We also acknowledge that you will.
Yeah.
And then you figure out why you don't quote over the phone.
You'll also give an hourly rate at some stage just out of pure desperation to win a job, and then you'll show up to the job and you realise that you've wildly underquoted. And again, you'll realise, hey, this is why they tell us not to do that.
But there's just so many little things that you encounter on your journey, on your business journey. And personally, I just want to be able to help people discover a way of getting things done that at times will be less painful than the way I did it.
Helping people to learn from what your process was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whether that was right or wrong, wasn't always right, I can tell you.
I think that's the story of business ownership. You learn a lot constantly, and I think all our business owners learn that very quickly, that this is not something that you pick up in 2 weeks of training. That's why we have business coaches. That's why you have the role that you have. Yeah. Well, I think that that's a perfect place to leave this episode of The Real Franchise. Greg, thank you so much for being willing to come on board into the head office team as a business coach. We are absolutely stoked that someone who has successfully operated the kind of business that you did, it was large, it had staff, it was well run, you had an incredible local reputation for the quality of your work. Having someone who just absolutely personified everything about our brand, then be willing to share that bank of knowledge and experience with new business owners it's a pinch me moment for Justin and I, that we have such incredible knowledge and experience willing to share that and help our next tranche of business owners. And I feel very privileged to have you as part of the head office team. So thank you for joining, and thank you for the dedication you have already shown to our new business owners and our existings. And I am very keen for many more business owners in our network to have your support as their business coach.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to take on this role. And that there's a high percentage of franchisees out there that, as their businesses, or as they're they want to move on from running their own business, will be wanting to see the sort of opportunities that have been made available to me. So onwards and upwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to leave this episode of The Real Franchise right here. Thank you so much for anybody who has listened all the way through. We hope that was helpful and insightful, and we hope that maybe it's given you a little bit of a window into Greg. Potentially, we may have sent you to watch this video if you're coming into our network and if we have paired you with Greg. So I hope that's been helpful in giving you a little bit of a get-to-know Greg opportunity. Thanks again for listening, and we shall see you very soon in the next episode of The Real Franchise.